Scalia wrote, if you have 8 justices in a case, it raises, he said, the possibility that by reason of a tie vote, the court will find itself unable to resolve the significant legal issues presented by the case. We've seen it already, just in the past few months. Pressing controversial issues that prompted the court to grant review in the first place. In most of those cases, because of different decisions in the different circuits, now remain unresolved. Issues the court believe are too important to leave in limbo are left in limbo, suspended in midair. A 4-4 court, which may be functioning fine in the narrow sense that a majority of cases are able to be decided, has many deleterious effects. Increased litigation costs and delays. Justice delayed, justice denied. So the burden falling more heavily on average Americans than on those with deep pockets able to decide which district to move on and move in. Different rulings in different parts of the country. In such a divided court leaves different interpretations of the law to stand in different states, creating confusion and uncertainty. It's already happened. And keep in mind, we have another entire term of this potential confusion if the vote is not allowed this year. Anybody who thinks that whatever the next president is, and God willing, in my view, will be Secretary Clinton, but whoever the next president is, now I don't say that for political reasons, but whoever it is, even if it is a Democrat, the idea this will be brought up within a month or 2 or 3 is highly unlikely. Even in a functioning system, it averages over 2 months. So it's critical we have a fully staffed court that can resolve important decisions. If the conflicts between the federal courts of appeals are allowed to stand, we end up with a patchwork of the Constitution and federal law inconsistent with equal justice and equal application of law in America. Federal laws that apply to the whole country will be constitutional in some parts, but unconstitutional in others. That could mean claims of race or sexual discrimination could come out one way in California or Arizona, another way next door in Utah or Colorado. Claims of government interference with religion could have one fate in Ohio and Iowa and another fate in Illinois and Wisconsin. Claims of unlawful policing might be resolved by one standard in Nebraska and another next door in Kansas. I spoke of this 2 months ago at Georgetown Law. And just in the intervening weeks, there have been important cases in which the justices have basically decided not to decide. I don't have to go through those cases. You know them as I do. Just ask the Solicitor General. He knows them all by heart. The meaning and extent of our federal Constitution, our constitutional rights, freedom of speech, freedom to follow the teachings of faith, to determine what constitutes the teaching of your faith, the right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure, all could depend on, if we keep going this way, and where you live. I think most people in this country think that's unfair and unacceptable. We are, after all, the United States of America. Either the Constitution protects rights across the board, or it doesn't. The American people deserve a fully staffed Supreme Court of 9. No one, not one disabled and divided, but one that is able to rule on the great issues of the day. From separation of church and state, whether there is a threat to the right of abortion or safe and legal abortion, police searches. It goes on. I don't, this is the last audience I have to list the concerns to. These are actual cases before the Supreme Court of the United States. We have to be sure that a fully functioning court is in a position to address the significant issues, and the geographic happenstance cannot fragment our national unity. The longer this high court vacancy remains, the more serious the problem will become, and the more we undermine the confidence in the courts. Back to that issue of confidence. The problem is compounded by turbulence, confusion, and uncertainty about our safety, our security, our liberty, our privacy. This is an uncertain time in the minds of many Americans. I need only have you look at the election process so far. And I'm not talking about one candidate. I'm talking about the process. A problem that will affect the future of this country, not only for our children, but for our grandchildren. We can't let this stand. And so I urge you to keep up the drumbeat, because I promise you, they know better. I've spoken to 17 of my colleagues on the other team. And because I've never violated a confidence, I will not say to the press who they are. But I mean it. I'm serious. You start off by saying, Joe, I know you're right. I know you're right. I've gone so far as to tell half a dozen of them, look, I'm not asking you to step out first, because I know it could cost you in your state. I'm not asking you to do that. But I'm asking you, if anybody steps out, step up. Step up. I think it's still possible. I think it's still possible we can have a hearing before this Congress adjourns, sine die. I think we can resolve this. But the one thing I'm certain of, it will only be resolved if the pressure is unrelentingly kept up. If we continue to point out in the states of the senators that you know better. If we keep the drumbeat, not with a personal attack, but making the case why it's so important. So my closing comment to you is, stay at it. Nothing ever comes easy in this system, particularly right now. But the fact of the matter is, the vast majority of the members of the Senate know in what disregard the Senate is held at this moment. They know that they have to change it. I'm not asking any one of them to appear in the second edition of Profiles in Courage. I mean it sincerely. But someone will, and when they do, I expect the rest to follow. And we don't need all of them. We don't need all of them. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for all you do. I get paid big bucks to do my job. You don't. I know all of you wish you had my salary. I know that. But all kidding aside, you're among the most respected voices in the nation. You're recognized for your intellect, your integrity, and your devotion to the Constitution. So it matters. You keep writing, you keep speaking, you keep an unrelenting effort to get a hearing. Because if we get a hearing, we got the judge. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.